Now, in a previous video, I gave you tips on shooting with your smartphone in the city. We covered hyperlapses, match cuts, transitions, and in that video, I said, if you'd like me to do a video that delves deeper into the editing side of a sequence like this, just let me know. And an overwhelming amount of you said that you wanted to learn more about editing a B-roll sequence. So that is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. It's coming up. Hey everyone, Steve here from Learn Online Video, and today I'm going to be giving you tips on editing a B-roll sequence. If you haven't seen the video where I show you how to shoot your footage, be sure to watch that now. I will link it up in the cards as well as in the description below, because in this video we're delving much deeper into the world of editing. A big thanks to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring this video. I'll talk more about them later, but for now, let's just remind ourselves of what that final B-roll sequence looked like, and then I'll show you exactly how it was edited so that you can create your own. Okay, so everything you just saw was shot entirely using a smartphone, and the majority of it was shot handheld. But how exactly was that sequence edited? Well, in front of me here, I have that exact sequence on my timeline, so let's take a closer look. Now, for the purpose of today's video, I'm going to be editing using Final Cut Pro because I've been using it for years and it's the program that I'm most familiar with. But these tips can be applied to just about any editing software. Final Cut Pro, for example, costs £300, but you certainly don't need to spend that. There are many free editing software programs out there that will do everything you need. My recommendations for free editing software are DaVinci Resolve and CapCut. Both I will link in the description below. Okay, let's take a look at this first shot, a time-lapse of Big Ben and Westminster Bridge in London. Nice and easy to shoot. For this, I just set my phone up on a mini tripod, I shot in time-lapse mode, and this was the result. Now, what you'll notice in the final sequence is that not only is this shot sped up, but it's also zooming in. This is what's known as the Ken Burns effect. The Ken Burns effect is a popular technique in video editing where a static shot comes to life by adding a zoom movement. This effect adds a dynamic and visually engaging quality to your footage and can really help pull your audience in, so perfect for an opening shot. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can achieve this effect. The first way is by adding keyframes. For this, simply select your clip and add a keyframe at the start. I'm going to start with my scale at 100%. I'm now going to skim to the end of the clip like this, scale this up to 115% and add another keyframe. Now when we play this clip back, it starts at 100% scale and then zooms in to 115%. You can of course scale or zoom in as much as you like. Now if your editing software doesn't allow keyframes, or maybe you're just starting out and this just seems all a bit too complicated, then don't worry, because there are plenty of drag and drop effects which will replicate the exact same results. Unfortunately, none come with Final Cut Pro, but I will put a link to where you can get some below. Okay, now the next editing technique that you may have noticed in this sequence is match cuts. The phone box, the underground signs, the bike, these are all examples of match cuts. Match cuts create a seamless transition between scenes and offer a visually pleasing experience for your viewers. But how do you edit them? So I've laid out 3 shots of a red phone box on my timeline, and I'm now going to edit these to create a match cut, and the aim of the game here is to have the red phone box in the same position in each clip. Now the best way to do this is to create some kind of reference point so that we know the framing of each shot is exactly the same or thereabouts. So for this, I'm going to come over to View and I'm going to enable both my title and action safe zones as well as my horizon. And what this has done is added all of these yellow lines to my shot so that I can ensure that everything is centered and level. And as you can see with this shot, the phone box is a little off. So let's fix it. I'm going to select my clip and I'm going to scale it up so that the top of the phone box touches the top yellow line and the bottom of the phone box touches the bottom yellow line. And I'm going to move the shot to make sure it's nice and centered, and I'm also going to slightly adjust the rotation so that the phone box is nice and level. I'm now going to move on to the next clip and do exactly the same. I'm going to scale it up, move it to the left or the right, do whatever I need to do to make sure that the phone box is in the same position for each shot. Or another way of making sure that your shots cut together seamlessly is to lay one on top of the other like this, and then reduce the opacity of the top clip by 50%. We can now see both shots mixed together, allowing us to easily scale and adjust our image so that they perfectly match. Once they do, simply place your clip back and increase the opacity back up to 100%. You can then repeat this process as many times as you like to achieve your desired results. For this sequence, I had each clip appear for just 2 frames. We only see each one for a split second. Also, another quick hack here: if you haven't quite shot enough clips, then simply copy and paste what you have multiple times on your timeline so that you now have a much longer sequence of match cuts. Also, music and sound effects are going to come in really useful at this point. You could cut your match cuts to the beat of the music, or if you're using a track that doesn't have a fast-paced beat, then try adding some sound effects. A machine gun sound effect, for example, would work really well to help bring a match cut sequence to life. Also, you may have noticed during that sequence that I played the final match cut in reverse and added a rewind sound effect. And it's these little edits combined with sound effects that really help make your footage stand out and keep your audience engaged. So if you would like access to a huge library of some of the best music and sound effects there is out there, then be sure to check out Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound not only has a huge library of music covering everything from cinematic, electro beats, rock, hip hop, and much, much more, but it's all really easy to find. They've got advanced search filters that take all the hassle out of finding the perfect track for your edits. They've also got an incredible collection of sound effects which come in extremely useful for edits just like this. Personally, I like to use a combination of sound recorded on the day as well as additional sound effects to really help bring my edits to life. For example, I used the sound of Big Ben that I captured myself, but I then used this riser from Epidemic Sound to help build tension and add more impact to the edit. Also, little things like the bike bell I added in the edit to ensure a crisper, more professional finish. Also, the whoosh sound effect and the bus horn, none of this was recorded on the day. It was downloaded and then added during the editing process. And it's these little sounds sprinkled into your edits that make the difference between something that's bland and much more exciting to watch. So if you'd like to try Epidemic Sound for free, I will put a link to a 30-day trial in the description below. And for a very limited time only, they are offering a 25% discount on an annual personal plan when you use the link in my description and code LEARN25 at checkout. Okay, moving on to some more must-know editing techniques when it comes to creating a B-roll sequence just like this. Let's talk about cutting from a wide to a tight shot or a tight to a wide shot. Now, there are a couple of points throughout the sequence where we cut from a wide shot to a tight shot or vice versa, and this helps give the audience much more context. For example, we start on a close-up of these people's feet, and then we cut to a wide shot to reveal that they're at Buckingham Palace. And we cut from a wide shot of Tower Bridge to a tighter shot looking up. Cutting between these two compositions not only makes the edit more interesting, but also gives the audience much more information. Also, whilst we're on the subject of cutting clips and what works best, try to keep the same flow throughout your edit. For example, let's say you've got 2 hyperlapse shots. Cutting from a hyperlapse shot pushing forward to another hyperlapse shot pushing forward is going to create a much smoother cut compared to a hyperlapse shot pushing forward and cutting to one pulling back. The flow of your edit is really important, and it's cuts like this that make all the difference. Also, think about the speed of your clips, because this is also going to affect the pace of your edit. Let's say, for example, you've shot a time lapse, but there isn't quite enough movement in your shot, like this one here. Well, don't forget, you can always speed up a time lapse. Here is the original shot. It's okay, a bit of movement, but now let's speed it up by 1500%. And with a fast-paced edit like this, we only need a couple of seconds of footage, and now this clip works much better. Also, as well as speeding your footage up, consider slowing it down. Let's talk about shooting in slow motion compared to slowing your footage down in the edit. Here, for example, we have a clip that I shot in slow motion, 120 frames per second. So when I lay it on my timeline, it's nice, smooth, and slow. Compared to, say, this shot here that's playing back in real time. But this clip was shot at 60 frames per second, so I'm able to slow it down by 50% speed in the edit, creating a much smoother shot. The speed of your clips affects the style, the mood, and the pace of your edits. So always think about what works best for the results that you're looking to achieve. So I hope you found these tips useful. Be sure to check out Epidemic Sound and sign up for a free trial using the link below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.